Hiroshima, Nagasaki, the heat death of the universe. These are some of the deadliest days in history. But none of them compare to the most deadliest day, January 6, 2021. Coming soon, in the most epic movie event since Robot Jocks, Left Behind, or maybe even Son of the Mask, the Babylon Bee investigates the darkest day in the history of democracy.
Where were you on January 6th?
In January?
I don't remember.
Storming the Capitol, baby. No.
Scary stuff like this happened.
Okay.
So on a scale of 9 to 10, how terrifying was what you just witnessed?
3? I don't know.
We go on location. We bring you 100% true facts.
Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was murdered over 7 times.
We ask the tough questions.
Is it true that you have a Jewish space laser? This is incredibly boring. Could you explain it to me using Marvel characters?
We even go face to face with the scariest criminals you'll ever meet.
Are you the dangerous insurrection man?
Who's asking?
We're in. Into the lair of darkness I go. Darkness because he's a Republican, not because he's, never mind. Shame! Shame!
This fall, the only way you can save democracy is by becoming a member of the Babylon Bee, so you can see January 6th, the most deadliest day.
Where were you on January 6th?
I was in that mob that was going into the Capitol.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have trusted investigative journalist Garth Struttlefud on the show live tonight. He was the one that narrated that brilliant yet very scary documentary. So we will never forget the most deadliest day in the history of democracy, January 6th, 2021. Garth, welcome to the Cross-Examined live stream.
Fact check. My last name is Strudelfud.
Strudelfud. Forgive me, Garth.
Pennsylvania Strudelfuds.
Got it. Well, Garth, you are well known for wanting to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth in the hundreds of fake documentaries you've made. So please, I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. I want you to tell us the whole truth about the kind of people that almost ended democracy that day, January 6th. So if you can muster up the courage to bring yourself back to the interviews that you did. I mean, who are the most terrifying January 6th people you risked your life to interview? Can you tell something about them?
I mean, and everybody that sees me on the street really should thank me for my service, putting my life on the line for democracy, and that I went and interviewed the most dangerous criminals in the history of the world. And I believe you said in the history of democracy, and just small correction, history of the entire universe. Frankly, I spoke to these dangerous criminals. A few examples. I talked to Lectern Guy.
Lectern Guy.
Yeah, Lectern Guy. His parents named him Lectern Guy, which turned out to be a fitting name later in life, unfortunate name, but fitting later in life, because it was kind of a prophecy in some ways that he was the one who would go into the Capitol and he would move Nancy Pelosi's lectern a terrifying 20 feet. And I confronted him for his crimes face to face in person. And I asked him to apologize to the lectern, and he did so. And we actually had him reenact it for a focus group, and we got their reactions to how scary it was that he did this. I nearly died that day, honestly, being next to a violent furniture rearrangement specialist like that. I talked to Siaka Massaquoi, who's a guy who stepped into the doorway of the Capitol and he filmed a selfie video for over 71 seconds. And then he helped the police officers get people out of there and clear away. But the important thing is that he was filming a selfie video in the doorway of the Capitol for 71 seconds. And the FBI raided him, and rightfully so.
Clearly, a criminal, clearly.
Yeah.
A 71-second video in the Capitol, the people's house. How could anybody suggest such a thing? Now, I noticed in the epic press release about the film, you said this: "We risked our lives to confront the most dangerous criminals imaginable, including the guy who moved Nancy Pelosi's lectern a terrifying 20 feet, and that guy who wore the buffalo horns." How did you survive this, Garth? How? How did you do it?
Well, I was too scared of him, so I sent my accomplice, unpaid intern, Travis, to talk to the Buffalo guy, because I didn't want to get gored to death. So we sent him out, and he found him in the middle of the desert and talked to him. And he really confronted, you'll have to watch the movie, but he really confronted him and called him on the carpet for his crimes. But it was it was scary. It was a very scary experience. I nearly died many times while filming this documentary and talking to actual January 6th. You saw it in the trailer. We talked to an old woman playing bridge who was in the mob that day that attacked the Capitol. And that was probably the scariest moment of my life. There was one other time I was in an Uber and the driver wasn't wearing a mask. That would rank up there as well. But one of those two is probably the scariest thing that I've ever done in my life.
Now, I noticed in this stunning documentary, Garth, that you have uncovered some authentic, unedited video that many people haven't seen before, where President Trump actually told people to commit an insurrection. Would it be okay if we showed that clip? It's from the documentary.
Yeah, the world needs to see it, please.
Let's roll it.
As Iron Man's coronation loomed closer and closer, a group of increasingly agitated Trump supporters began to gather in Washington, D.C., not the one where Sleepless in Seattle was set, to protest the certification of the votes. Trump addressed the crowd in a fiery, violence-inciting speech where he told everyone to go take over the government and install him as the God Emperor of mankind.
I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
My understanding is that Trump really riled up the crowd, and in fact, we have acquired some exclusive footage of Trump riling up the crowd. Let's take a watch.
Now, what I want you guys to do is to go to the Capitol, okay? Be very violent. Overthrow the Capitol. Do an insurrection. Let's all chant that together now. Do an insurrection. Do an insurrection.
You know, I have not seen this before, and I'll just be honest, that changes everything. I've got to rethink everything. Thank you for, being willing to show that to me.
Let the record show that Eric Metaxas is now a Democrat.
I think this might be what experts are calling a deep fake, or a very shallow fake.
Well, we'll let the viewer decide. Agree with this so-called expert, or trust what their very eyeballs are seeing.
That's shocking, Garth. I don't know how you could approach those people with a straight face, those Trump supporters. You have him caught red-handed here. How did those people respond? Is Metaxas truly a Democrat now?
He is 100% Democrat, Kamala Harris supporter, all because of that footage that we showed him. I think he's even dyeing his hair pink. He's got the nose ring. So yeah, we got him hook, line, and sinker with this completely authentic footage of Trump. I mean, because that's what happened, right? Trump actually told people to insurrect the government and riled everybody up, and he was the mastermind behind this clearly strategic, expertly planned insurrection.
Now, who did those people have to overpower, those evil conservatives? Who did they have to overpower to get into the Capitol that day? Did someone breach a barrier or ram a door down? How did that happen?
There were some people that were a little rowdy, like breaking some windows and some general mischief, but a lot of them just walked, through a door or in a really terrifying moment, they were standing by a barrier, and then a police officer moved the barrier, and then they walked in, which is how insurrections occur, and that's how most insurrections and riots have occurred in human history, according to my extensive research.
Garth, could that have been just a conservative conspiracy theory that a police officer actually moved the barrier and escorted those people right into the building? You really believe that?
It could have been conservatives are conspiracy theorists about a lot of things, and that is one area that I'm still looking at to see if maybe this is another one of their long list of Republican lies. So it could be, there is video footage of it, but I think maybe it's AI generated.
It could be AI generated, but all of the Democrats from day one, and even some Republicans, have called this an insurrection. So in your research, Garth, what kind of weapons did you discover that those dangerous insurrections brought into the Capitol?
Well, if you watch our film, we show a lot of the actual footage of the attack where they had catapults and siege engines and giant Gatling guns and nuclear missiles and all these things. But there's no footage of that. If you watch, we show it. It's like recreation, CGI. But we do, like, we're guessing a little bit about what they might have had. But as far as the actual things, selfie sticks, cameras,
you
water
don't have
bottles.
a bunch of that, do you? You don't?
No.
Those were their weapons, selfie sticks?
Yeah, lots of selfies. Oh, prayer. Talk about WMDs, weapons of mass devotion, if you will. And they were praying outside the Capitol. So clearly a violent attack on democracy, clearly armed in those ways.
Definitely violent. Now, friends, I know some of you watching right now want to ask Garth Strudelfudd a question. If you'd like to ask him a question, I want you to put in big block letters question wherever you're watching this, whether it's YouTube, whether it's X, whether it's Instagram, whether it's the Cross-Examined app, wherever, put big block letters question, and we'll be sure to avoid answering it a little bit later. But put it out there. Now, I noticed that you're very even-handed, Garth, because you interviewed conservative radio host Dennis Prager to get the conservative side of the story. Now, I really appreciate you being fair and presenting both sides. Why don't we roll that clip so you could see what Prager thought about all this? Would that be all right?
Yes, please.
We're sitting down now with far-right extremist Dennis Prager. But to protect our audience from hearing any lies, we will be censoring anything we deem to be misinformation. Explain to us your opinion on January 6th.
That is, I predicted the next day that as a let me mention, for example, the Stanley Cup fountain pens. The joy of the fountain pen.
I'm sorry you had to hear that. After witnessing these shocking events,
Garth, thank you so much for censoring his dangerous misinformation. In the spirit of America, you saved us from all sorts of triggers. Why are you such a good person, Garth? Where does this come from?
Thank you for saying that. A lot of people don't tell me that, and I feel like I need to be told that more often, that I'm a good person. I'm a good person. I think ultimately the number one source is just, I have a Ukraine pin. I'm not wearing it right now, but I do own it. I drive a Subaru, which is fairly good on gas mileage for climate change. I've got the Human Rights Campaign equal sign. So this is where most of my goodness come. Probably those three are the main factors.
You are one of the best investigative justice virtue signalers I think I've ever seen. Now, Garth, you have done such a wonderful job, and I'm sure you're all about justice because you are a good person, and you're about justice especially for people who protest violently. Now, in your documentary, you mentioned that at least 13 people were killed in the George Floyd riots of 2020. How many were killed by Trump supporters in the most deadliest day? That's January 6th.
Well, the thing is that you have to consider both the metaphorical deaths and hypothetical deaths along with actual deaths. So if you add those together, the number is billions. But actual deaths, 0.
Actual deaths, 0. What I thought it was the deadliest day. What happened, Garth?
Because of the billions dead in the metaphorical and hypothetical deaths, and then like theoretically too, like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was murdered 7 times. That
7
day.
times that day.
Yeah.
Wow. That is.
So if you include that, it's higher.
It's 7 then, if you include that.
Well, it's 7, yeah.
It's 7.
Right.
Wow. So I would assume then that since you're all for justice and so is our country, that the J6 protesters got what they deserved. And so did the George Floyd rioters, didn't they?
Absolutely. Justice has been served on all these people, and I have full faith in the justice system to be completely even-handed when it comes to these two groups.
Wow. Well, why don't we show the comparison, because you actually have it in the film, The Most Deadliest Day. Let's roll the justice served clip if we could.
After witnessing these shocking events, you surely feel as we do that these criminals should be punished as severely as possible. Well, prepare to smile, friend, because the civil servants at the FBI have been working as hard as possible to make sure these dangerous criminals who embarked upon that fateful Capitol tour all end up behind bars forever. Let's take a look at all the criminals the FBI has punished.
Siaka Massaquoi. Crime. Standing in Capitol doorway and taking a selfie. Punishment. Raided by the FBI. Currently awaiting trial on 4 misdemeanor charges. Justice served. Ronald Maccabee. Crime. Rendered aid to a Capitol police officer. Punishment. Held for 2 years without trial. Convicted of 6 felonies and a misdemeanor, with prosecutors seeking up to 17 years in prison. Justice served. Lectern guy. Crime. Moved to lectern. Punishment. 75 days in prison, a $5,000 fine, and the permanent suspension of his PlayStation Network account. Justice served. Buffalo guy. Crime. Took over the floor of Congress, legally making him the ruler of the United States for over 7 minutes. Punishment. 300 days in solitary confinement and sentenced to 41 months in prison. Justice served. Grandma. Crime. Prayed for her country. Punishment. Arrested and convicted of 4 misdemeanors and fined $100,000. Justice served. Black Lives Matter protesters. Crime. $1 billion in damages, 13 deaths, thousands of businesses destroyed. Used $12 million of donations to purchase mansions, and worst of all, burned down the Arby's on Snelling Avenue. Punishment. Lauded by the media. Nearly all charges dropped, bailed out by Kamala Harris. Justice served.
So
It's
Garth,
really
it
neat
seems...
that
It seems, Garth, that everybody's been treated completely fairly here. They're not being mistreated based on any sort of bias or political allegiance. I think you've uncovered something beautiful here, Garth. How did you go about doing this?
Yeah, we really wanted to show how fair the FBI has been in the prosecution of these people. You know, some people that got a little rowdy, broke some windows, some people that didn't really know there was a protest going on and just kind of walked through the Capitol. people that just kind of followed the crowd and took some videos and took pictures with police officers, walked through some ropes, took pictures of statues, and, were sentenced to months and months in prison and thousands of dollars in fines and had their homes raided and their lives destroyed by the FBI. That seems fair to me as speaking as an authority. I do have my journalism certificate from DeVry University, so I'm an expert on the matter. And then you look at Black Lives Matter protesters that were bailed out by Kamala Harris, and to me, I can feel the justice oozing from the Justice Department when I see it. Like, can you feel the justice? I can feel the justice for sure.
It's totally just, Garth. And I did appreciate your point. Toward the end of the film, you tried to say that the Constitution does allow us to jail our political opponents. And a conservative who you labeled in the lower thirds as being wrong, his name is Michael Knowles. When you said, why don't we just show the clip and then we'll see what he said. Let's roll the Knowles clip.
It's really neat that the Constitution specifically allows you to imprison your political opponents. Do you think that that's neat too?
I don't mean this in any sort of derogatory fashion. I mean this in a purely clinical way. I just have to know. Are you retarded?
January 6th, the most deadliest day. Streaming exclusively on BabylonB.com.
Well, you're going to have to get the Babylon Bee. You're going to have to subscribe to the Babylon Bee, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to see the rest of that clip and you want to see the entire movie, because the man who wrote it and stars in it is right here. His name is Kyle Mann, also known as, what's your last name? Garth what? What?
Garth Strudelfud. I don't know. The Pennsylvania Strudelfuds.
Garth Strudelfud. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's a brilliant movie. It's all satire, ladies and gentlemen, but it couldn't have been written and it couldn't be funny unless there are elements of truth in it, and there is. So, Kyle, why did you and Seth and Dan and all the team get together and decide to do this?
By the way, before Kyle answer, I want to say I had to type in all block letters. This is satire because there were people mad.
Every time. Every time. Here, I got to take the glasses off.
Go ahead.
Now I'm out of character. Now I'm no longer Garth. It's making people mad. Yeah, every time, you do something like this, people don't get the joke, of course. Babylon Bee has been, we've been around for 8 years now, and we've done video sketches, we've done podcasts, obviously the website and all of our written satire is kind of how we got on the map. And we've always been looking for ways to do longer form film, TV, video, and this was just the first project that we decided to do, and it felt right for us. We wrote it pretty quickly within a few weeks, and then we just started shooting it, and we produced it all ourselves, and we put it out there for our subscribers. So it's pretty great, a lot of fun.
How long did it take to film?
We filmed it kind of sporadically because we're very squirrel. ADHD kind of here at the Babylon Bee. So we're let's shoot something over here. Oh, let's shoot something over here. Oh, Michael Knowles said he'd be in the movie. Let's go to Nashville tomorrow. That kind of documentary thing where you're just working through people's schedules. But all in all, it was probably a month or so total of shooting, and then a couple of months of editing and polishing, and we got it out there.
Now, how do people see it if they really want to see it, Kyle? What do they have to do?
BabylonB.com/January 6th is where people can go to support the Babylon Bee and watch the movie. We appreciate all the support. I mean, that's it's completely self-funded and subscriber funded. So that's it's really cool to be able to dip our toes into the water of film that way. I think it's, whether it's Babylon Bee or a different organization, conservative company, Christian ministry, I think it's important for us to support these groups that are out there trying to make good entertainment, because conservative entertainment is typically pretty bad, and Christian entertainment can be pretty bad. Your show, of course, being the exception.
Of course. Yeah, no, there's no cheese in this, ladies and gentlemen. No cheese in this production. It is just brilliant, as all the Babylon Bee material is. And look, I'm a subscriber of the Babylon Bee too, friends. You ought to be. It's like $100 a year or something like that. It's not really expensive. But when you subscribe to the Babylon Bee, you not only get the movie, you get all sorts of other behind the scenes stuff. And what you're doing is you're additionally making them more independent than advertisers, because advertisers can get a little antsy when their customers say, hey, don't advertise there anymore, we're gonna boycott you. Well, when you subscribe to the Babylon Bee, you're giving them the freedom they need to do what they need to do, and this is one of the great projects they've done. So go to the BabylonBee.com. And by the way, if you haven't been to the BabylonBee.com, where have you been, man? You're going to get a laugh every day, sometimes more than twice a day. Actually, I go up there quite a bit. So it was great that you guys pulled this all together. Kyle, give our viewers and listeners an idea of how you guys how does the Babylon Bee come together every day? Because it seems like if there's a news item, you guys have a headline up in like 10 minutes. How does this happen?
Yeah, we have such a fast and nimble team of writers, and we have people that are doctors and lawyers and you name it, like pastors that just are part-time writers for the Bee, and like are just constantly on the phone, like texting in ideas. And we have this group chat where we're constantly going around, and then we have our office here in Southern California where we're sitting around and throwing the ideas together.
Kyle,
yeah.
I will have to just take the lead off this. I saw your producer with a Zelda T-shirt. I know you guys have an Ocarina of Time. I know you guys travel in time and see what's happening, and then come back and put up the headlines.
We pulled the Master Sword out of the Temple of Time pedestal, and we warp 7 years ahead, and that's how we know what the Democrats are going to do.
That's it.
Tomorrow.
You and the Simpsons, man.
Yeah, us and the Simpsons. Yes.
Well, another thing you get to do, friends, if you're a subscriber, you get to submit subscriber headlines. Here's one of the subscriber headlines right now. This is from the 21st of October. Trump bribes voters with offer of prosperity, freedom, and safety. Okay. So you get some of your ideas from subscribers, I know, which makes it fun. But you guys have to have a real nimble and sharp team to come up with this stuff like on the spot.
Yeah, it's so, and like, you look at the subscribers, there's 400 or 500 subscriber submissions coming in a day. And then I have hundreds and hundreds coming in from my writers. And then I've got my own ideas. So we just have like this huge wealth of ideas. And my job is to pick through the garbage and like find the good ones and put them onto the website every day. A
lot of people don't know this, but you were like a fire hydrant salesman, weren't you? How did you get to the Babylon Bee?
Keep it under wraps, man. Nobody knows. I need a more mysterious origin story is what I need. I was a construction salesman and a part-time pastor. I was a co-pastor of a small Southern Baptist church in San Diego. And Adam Ford started the Babylon Bee. I joined him on day one and quit my job and started doing this ever since. It's been just a freaking blast and so cool to see the kind of the plan that God had, for my life.
By the way, if you have any questions for Kyle, man, he's the senior editor at the Babylon Bee. He's the one responsible for everything you see on the website and was responsible for what you will see in the movie when you subscribe. Just type question wherever you are in big block letters. We'll hope to get to it. We only have until the top of the hour to do this. So if you want to get a question in, do so for Kyle, man. I think this was the first headline you wrote, Kyle, if I remember it correctly. But I loved it. It was Holy Spirit unable to move after fog machine breaks.
Yep, that was the one. That's the headline that changed my life.
That was it.
That's the one that got me in the door at the Bee, and been pretty cool. Yeah.
Now, how often are you guys harassed? Because I know you've been fact-checked by Snopes and other people. How does this work?
Our jokes have been fact-checked dozens of times, and you would not believe the headlines. Like we did one where VeggieTales introduced a cannabis character, like a little cannabis leaf, Cannabis Carl, and that got fact-checked by Snopes. We did one where CNN bought a big washing machine to spin the news, it? And that one got fact-checked by Snopes. So we get fact-checked, we got censored. Of course, we famously got locked out of our Twitter account under the old Twitter regime. So we constantly get attacked for our jokes, which, I mean, It's because jokes communicate truth, and the
They do,
the secular left can't abide truth. So that's why they hate us.
Well, we don't have a question, but Live Life writes in and says, thank you for all this content. So they're loving this stuff. But I do want to go back to the January 6th thing for a minute, because on a serious side, obviously, that was an event that I think we could say at least 100 people went kind of overboard, right? But of course, the left has made this seem like it was Nagasaki, as you say in the, in the trailer there. But I wanted to ask you, what did you discover in pulling the script together that you didn't know before about January 6th? That's really important.
Honestly, less so writing the script and more so when I was actually interviewing the experts, because it's a satirical interview and they know where the Babylon Bee. So we just tell them, like, give us real facts. But I'm an idiot journalist, but you respond normally. Just don't act like it's a joke. You know, they don't know what jokes are coming. And talking to Dennis Prager, Michael Knowles, Eric Metaxas, Ryan Williams at the Claremont Institute, like I learned about the grievances that a lot of these people actually had. Because before I was kind of like, you know, all these people, they just thought the election was stolen. Like, they thought Trump won. But that wasn't necessarily the case. Like, a lot of them were just protesting the fact that constitutional norms were violated by a lot of the states. You know, like, the states did not follow the constitutional laws for collecting ballots and following the normal voting procedures. And I didn't realize how legitimate those complaints were, and they were just going there to make their voices heard. I also, talking to some of these people that have been overly prosecuted by the FBI, like, every single person we talked to had the same story. Like, there was no plan for anybody to say, let's go march over to the Capitol building, like in Nazi formation, and attack the Capitol. Like, all of them were like, I just wanted to hear Trump speak. Right. And then everybody started walking this way, and I was like, oh, let's go see what's going on over there. And then all of a sudden they're getting pushed into the Capitol building. All of a sudden, you know, like, some people are getting rowdy, like you said. And, you know, we make that point in the movie that some bad stuff happened. Like, obviously, I don't think conservatives are typically proud of January 6th. But the point in the movie, of course, is mocking the liberal media's hysteria over the day. Like, at the beginning of the movie, we literally show Kamala Harris actually said that you know, she compares it to Pearl Harbor and September 11th, like, puts it on that level in our nation's collective memory. And it's insane. We played that clip in the movie. My wife saw the movie for the first time with me when it came out, and she goes, did you guys make up that Kamala Harris quote? I'm like, no, she actually said that. Yeah, that's how insane it is.
Yeah, the exaggeration is just off the charts. And I learned something by watching this too. And that was, as you said, so many people who were just in the area have been held, some of them even without a trial. They've been held as if there's some kind of true insurrectionist that wanted to overthrow the government. This is the only insurrection in history that had no weapons. Right. Nobody was really trying to overthrow anybody. They were touring the Capitol. And as some of the footage you see in this film, which is real footage, they're being escorted by police. They're being escorted into the House of Representatives and through the rotunda there. It's not like they're breaking in and overpowering people.
Yeah, and we actually played the full 71 seconds where Siaka, he gave us the footage from when he walked into the building from his phone, where he walked in and filmed that 71-second thing where he steps into the Capitol building, and he's talking to the police officers. And he says, could I get a tour of the building? And they said, no, it's too crazy. Come back tomorrow, and you might be able to get a tour tomorrow. Like, that's not what you say to someone who's trying to insurrect the government. Come back tomorrow.
Now, how about the guy, because you have him in here, justice served, the guy who was assisting a police officer who was down.
Yeah.
He is being prosecuted and could face 17 years. For what?
Yeah, there's a lot of guys like that. Like, they'll kind of say, well, you know, like, if a crowd is pushing up against you and you're kind of accidentally pushing up into the police officers, and they're like, oh, you know, assault of a police officer, you know, and it's like, dude, I had no intention of touching a police officer, and so I'm clearing the crowd out, and I'm trying to stop it, I'm trying to render aid, and all of a sudden they find themselves in this insane situation where they have felony charges and misdemeanor charges against them for stuff like that. So it's a lot of things where it's like, definitely there was probably a few bad actors in the crowd, And there's definitely some people that were trying to take advantage of it and be like, yeah, let's go in and let's take over, man. You know, like you had a couple of weirdos that were doing that, but the vast majority of the crowd is sitting there like, what? Like, we're just here to kind of do what Americans do in protests. Like, this is a democratic principle that we have, is that we're allowed to protest when we disagree with something that the government's doing. And you lump all of those protesters in and say they were all trying to overthrow the government. That's a really dangerous thing to get into when it comes to our constitutional republic.
Yeah, in fact, none of them, as far as we know, were trying to overthrow the government. That would have been foolhardy. There's no way to do that.
Right. No, and I don't say that to say that there were people that were actually trying to, but you definitely had some people that were like trying to show register their objections in a much more intense way and much more inappropriate way than most of the people that were just trying to hold up signs and register their objections in a normal and peaceful way. Like Trump said, and we make the point in the movie with that fake footage of Trump, but he says, he literally says, let's go peacefully and patriotically make our voices heard. And then they say, oh, he incited an insurrection attempt. Where did he incite a violent insurrection attempt? He never said anything like that. In fact, one of the last tweets before he got banned from Twitter, he actually says, guys, remember, the police officers are on our side. Like, let's remain peaceful. And he tweets this, and then they banned his Twitter account, so you couldn't even go find that tweet. And they erased it from the record pretty much, that he was literally telling people to remain peaceful.
Yeah, he also says that he told Nancy Pelosi that she could call up the National Guard. He would approve that just in case anybody did get crazy. And of course, she said, no, we don't need that. It seems to me they wanted this kind of thing to happen so they could use it for political purposes. But who knows? Obviously, the left has blown this up way out of proportion. But I have a couple of questions. Let's see. O'Reilly says, Kyle, are you affiliated with The Onion, or is it a rival publication?
Rival publication in some ways, although I don't know that too many people read The Onion that much anymore. But they were definitely an inspiration for us. Like The Onion was. We read it. Adam Ford, who founded the Babylon Bee, read an Onion headline that was making like a liberal atheistic point. And he was like, man, I disagree with the worldview behind this joke, but I really think it's a funny joke. And he's like, there's something really powerful there in the use of satire. And so he said, what if we had something like that was from a biblical worldview? What if we had something like that from a conservative worldview? And that was the inspiration for the founding of the Babylon Bee. So thank you, Onion. You caused the Babylon Bee to be born.
Well, I think the Babylon Bee, I know it's a business, but in my view, it's also a ministry, because you can make a point through satire so much more effectively than I could make a point just being pedantic, just trying to teach. Like, for example, you have this headline up here. This is from what's today, the 29th. This is 2 days ago, October 27th. Democrats scream in fury after spotting child that made it out of the womb alive. It's the story of that Harris supporter screaming at a little baby in a stroller. And there's some truth to that, because Democrats have made abortion. It used to be safe, legal, and rare. Now they're celebrating it, right? They want everybody to get an abortion. It seems it's sort of a sacrament. And
abortion trucks at the DNC and giant IUD inflatable devices and people dressed up as birth control pills running through the DNC. Like, this is the Democratic Party, and it's so hard for us to write comedy about it. How do you write comedy about a political party that celebrates the death of the unborn in this way? It's sad, and it's hard. It's hard to write satire about stuff like that, but we have to. I think it is our calling. I think it's important for us to mock bad ideas and to shed light on evil like that.
Yeah, I'm glad that you say that, because bad ideas don't have just bad consequences; they have victims, right? We have millions of kids that are not being allowed to live because of these policies. Now, I do want to ask you something, Kyle. I know that we're still have a few more minutes with you, and I want to encourage everybody on the other side of the screen to go ahead and start asking questions. Kyle is a brilliant writer; he's funny, and we want to know more about this movie. So let me ask you a question. Knowing that we have this election, I actually went and voted today. I'm 41 years old. I'm originally from Costa Rica. I became a citizen a few years ago. It's the first time I have ever voted in my life. So
Had
now
the opportunity to.
the
yeah.
opportunity,
Right.
yeah, they had the
Yeah.
opportunity to vote. So with that being said, Kyle, what do you think making this movie was so important, and especially releasing it at the time that you guys did?
Yeah, I think there was something providential, you know, when it came to the timing of this movie. Like, we weren't really in any kind of rush. We just said, hey, let's make our first movie and let's put it out there. And just based on the production and the post-production timeline, and we ended up looking at this calendar, and it's like, well, this is going to come out, you know, a month before the election. And, you know, stuff like this, it's not necessarily going to change tons of minds. You're not going to have a bunch of millions of liberals that were going to vote for Kamala that are going to watch Babylon Bee movie and be like, oh yeah, now I'm going to vote for Trump. But what it will do is like help inspire us, you know, and I think what a lot of content like what the Babylon Bee does is it helps us know that we're not alone. I mean, a lot of us, when we found the Babylon Bee, a lot of my writers, like, were just readers of the Babylon Bee, and they became writers and employees of the Babylon Bee. And it's like, when they found the Babylon Bee, it was this light in the darkness for them, you know, where it's like, I feel so alone in Christian culture. I feel so alone out there in the wider world that's increasingly secularized. And you find this group of guys who are like laughing at that darkness. And it's like this, it's a powerful thing to be able to laugh at darkness, to be able to laugh at evil. Satan can't stand to be mocked, you know, and for us to sit there and just make fun of him and have this confidence in the Lord and this joy in the Lord in the face of this onslaught of evil. I think it empowers Christians. I think it inspires Christians. You don't have to be anxious about the news, about what's going to happen today or tomorrow, because we know who's in control of history. You know, we know that our Lord is sovereign. So no matter who wins this election, Jesus is still on the throne. And that's a powerful thing to be able to write comedy from that perspective and with that knowledge.
Well said, man.
And Kyle, we have another question. I don't know where this comes from, but Kyle, are you secretly owned by the New York Times?
No, but we constantly own the New York Times.
That's right.
The New York Times, very early on at the Babylon Bee, the New York Times called us far-right misinformation, which was really funny to us, because it was like, we had 3 employees at the time. And we were getting attacked by the biggest freaking newspaper in the world. Can I say freaking? Sorry.
Yeah,
the biggest
yeah.
stinking newspaper in the world. We were being attacked by. And that, again, that just shows you the power of comedy, right? When you're like writing a joke and it can be so powerful that it's impacting millions of people, and the New York Times comes after you. Like, comedy is a tool that God has given us, and a light that we can use to kind of shine on the darkness and attack those things.
Yeah, well, you guys do it so well. Go ahead, Jorge.
I got one here. It says, will the movie be available to rent outside of buying a subscription later?
Probably soon, like maybe even before the election, right before the election, we may do some like rental options and stuff like that as we figure out how to roll it out. We do want it to get to as many people as possible.
Right.
So subscribers got it first. They were the ones who funded it. We wanted to reward them first, and then we'll probably look for some other ways to put it out there.
I would say as a ministry that rely also on the support of other people. For everybody who's on the other side, go ahead on and join. Like I said, I think somebody put it over there. It's like 27 cents per day, right? So go ahead on and support the Bee. This support will go for a whole year. You'll get the movie because you're not just paying for the movie. You're supporting this movement, the movie. You just heard what Kyle said. This is a community of people who are committed to laugh at evil and bring light to so many others that are feeling the same way. So I think it's totally worthy to do that.
A couple of headlines that just cracked me up. I just looked at them. LA Times staff resigns after being asked to publish facts. Babylon Bee, ladies and gentlemen. Also, this could swing the election. This just in. Nail in the coffin, ? Former Blockbuster employee accuses Trump of failing to return VHS tape of Baby Geniuses in 1999. That's going to sink him, Kyle.
He's done. The writing is on the wall.
He didn't rewind it either. He didn't rewind it.
Be kind to rewind. Trump is not kind.
Hey, by the way, now that you say that about the tape, you know that happened to me when I was going through my immigration process. That was one of the charges that I had, was not to return a VHS tape. Ain't that something? Yeah.
Now, did you rewind it, or you didn't return it?
No, I didn't return it because I kept it in that red card that you pushed it in and you pop it down and it rewind automatically.
Yeah.
That's how I deal with my ADHD when I feel anxious.
Got it.
Hey, Kyle, I got to ask you this. Why wasn't Trump Hitler in the first term? There's a Babylon Bee headline associated with this. Why wasn't he Hitler in the first term? Because they're saying he's Hitler. Why wasn't he in the first term?
Do you want me to blow the Babylon Bee headline? You want me to blow the joke, or are you going to read?
No. You bring the joke, man. It's your joke.
Yeah, he was going to, but he forgot.
He forgot. He forgot. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's
so
it.
Next time he'll definitely be Hitler.
Oh, okay. All right. I got it. Because, that's Kamala's closing argument now.
Yeah.
I mean, she was apparently on the ellipse tonight saying, Trump is Hitler. But she forgot to tell us why he wasn't Hitler in the first term and why she hasn't fixed all the problems she says that needs to be fixed while she's in office now. She needs to be in office again to fix all those problems. It's kind of an odd sales pitch.
That's a crazy thing, and it's been so much fun to make fun of that. The fact that she is currently in office, telling us that she is the new way forward, and when I'm elected, I'll do all this great stuff. And you're like, you are the incumbent. You are in office right now. Why haven't you done any of the stuff that you're promising to do? And acting like everything that's going wrong now is Trump's fault. There's like a commercial on the other day that I was seeing for Kamala, and it's like, are you fed up with grocery prices and the cost of housing? And choose a new way forward, Kamala Harris. I'm like, she's in office right now. It's the most insane thing ever, and I can't believe Dems are falling. Well, maybe I can believe Dems are falling for him.
Well, we got a question here from Tricia, and this is a serious question actually, and it has to do with death threats. Have you ever gotten a death threat? Has anyone at the Babylon Bee ever gotten a death threat?
Some people have gotten death threats. Yes. We of course deal with that. I think anybody that is a bigger personality online will get those kinds of things. Not super often, and I don't think any more than a lot of the other people that have probably gotten it much worse than we have. I do think the comedy angle softens things a little bit. We do have a lot of fans that are on the left or in the center that appreciate the comedy. So.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I know you even have some moderates and some liberals that will laugh at the headlines because they are genuinely funny, ladies and gentlemen. And the headline right now is California man arrested for showing ID to vote. I mean, it's funny because the Democrats, they don't want voter ID. They don't want to purge the rolls of dead people. They don't want to make sure that only citizens vote. They won't pass the SAVE Act. They are actually suing certain states like Virginia.
Hey, I just have to tell you. Oh, Fred, I was going to say, I just have to tell you that if I get a little bit more tan, I will not know how to go get an ID. Like I will forget it completely.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So you cannot discriminate on us, man. Because, if I get a little bit darker, man, a little bit more melanin, and then I'll completely forget how to get an ID, man. So don't be like that, man. Don't stroke your white privilege here live on me, man.
No, but I mean, they telegraph exactly what they're trying to do.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Like I'm not this guy that's sitting there like, oh, there's widespread fraud and they're like shipping in all these people to vote. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm like, at the same time, on the other side of it, like if they were trying to commit fraud, what would they do? And it's like, well, have no IDs. Don't let people show ID when they come to vote. Like bring in as many people as they can. Like everything that they're doing is kind of like leaning that direction. I'm like, you couldn't and change the conversation.
Okay, one more comment from O'Reilly. A goat, and I agree.
Hey,
Greatest
all right.
of all time, ladies and gentlemen.
I'll take it.
Yeah, and so is this documentary. The greatest of all time, January 6th, the most deadliest day. Subscribe to the Babylon Bee and see it. Kyle, thanks for all you're doing. Keep us laughing. Keep making these great points through satire. It's just it's wonderful what you and your team do.
Well, thank you. It's a real honor to be able to do it. And you guys are the real heroes. You guys are the real ministries, and support these guys. Don't support Babylon Bee. Support these guys. They need it. They need it. They're out there doing the real work. We're just the court jesters.
Yeah, it's all important, brother. It's all important. So thanks so much for joining us. Friends, Babylon Bee, check it out. Subscribe. I'm a subscriber. You should be too. Check voteyourfaith.net out. Also, this Friday on the I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist podcast, we're going to have Laura Hanford on. You're not going to believe what she's going to reveal about government, state governments actually taking children from their parents and transitioning them against their parents' will. And Kamala Harris is for this. We're going to talk more about it on the podcast. So we'll see you this Friday for that podcast. All right. Great being with you, friends. God bless. Don't forget, Babylon Bee. Go there. Subscribe. See you next time.
It's been over 3 years. Our democracy, it died that day. But the Babylon Bee put together a team. A team that would avenge our democracy. To help us never forget to. Remember.
Jewish space laser.
Dodge! Phantom zone!
Quick follow-up question. Why are you evil? Shame!
I love Trump.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Did Trump supporters break this potted plant?
You just did that.
Thanks for joining us tonight. If you enjoyed this live stream, please hit the subscribe button and be sure to check out these other helpful resources for more information on how to defend the truth of Christianity in this crazy upside down world. Our website at crossexamine.org, the Cross-Examine app for Apple and Android, the I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist podcast, all your favorite places on social media, onlinechristiancourses.com, and impactapologetics.com. Thank you again, and we'll see you in the next live stream. God bless.
Yeah.